Someone has their eyes on stealing Dominik Mysterio from Liv Morgan, so we'll see what that's about. We'll also check out what's happening with Becky Lynch, Tiffany Stratton, and more. Starting things off with the very big news for Becky Lynch's status. Becky's been out of the wrestling ring since May, and there's been nothing but big questions surrounding her future ever since. Everyone was wondering if she's retiring, if she'll consider a run in AEW, or was it just a hiatus and she was going to come right back to WWE when the time was right? Well, out of all those options, it's looking like the WWE return option is the one that's happening. New reports from PW Insider claims that Becky Lynch's WWE return is expected to happen very shortly, and that she'll absolutely be back in time for the Raw Netflix premiere, no doubt about it. That's something that continues to be said and heavily reported, that WWE and Netflix are absolutely loading and stuffing the card for that big Raw Netflix premiere that's set to take place in the first week of January. The headlines continue to claim that all of WWE's top stars from both brands will be present at the Raw Netflix premiere, as well as some other bigger appearances from legends as well. John Cena has already confirmed that he'll be at the Raw Netflix premiere, and there's other slight rumors and rumblings going around for even someone like The Rock to be at the premiere as well. So the constant theme of all the reports surrounding the Netflix premiere is that they plan on having all the major stars there for that first big episode of the Raw streaming era. And it looks like Becky Lynch is one of those top stars that they're allegedly planning to have back on the active roster by then. So if these reports are accurate, it's very exciting news for Becky Lynch fans, because if she is expected back in time for the Netflix Raw premiere in early January, that means her return is going to be imminent, and could be happening as soon as this month, or most definitely the month of December. Becky Lynch will obviously be returning to the Raw roster, so her WWE career will continue on that show. As far as what storylines Becky Lynch can get involved with almost immediately, it seems like a no-brainer to say that Becky should instantly get involved with the Women's World Heavyweight title scene on Raw. Last time we saw Becky Lynch on the active roster, she was getting robbed by Liv Morgan for the Women's World title, not once, but back-to-back in 2 consecutive matches. Dominik Mysterio's outside interference played a role in Becky losing the title to Liv Morgan, and then his interference in the cage match costed Becky that match and helped Liv retain there as well. Also, not to mention that Liv Morgan is still going around till this day bragging about allegedly retiring Becky Lynch. Liv just said in an interview that came this week, where she was very vocal about how no one has seen Becky Lynch in so long, and how she officially retired Becky and how that's the end of the story. So considering that Becky was cheated out of those 2 championship matches against Liv Morgan, and considering how Liv is still running her mouth about forcing Becky into retirement, it just seems like it's painting the perfect picture for Becky Lynch's return to take place with a Liv Morgan confrontation. Pick up right where she last left off at, and really surprise Liv Morgan, who's under the belief that Becky will never wrestle again. Becky's return is definitely a high caliber return, so if that return takes place right in the world title picture, it makes a lot of sense for that to be the case. Only issue with that idea is that Becky Lynch is going to have to wait a little bit in line for the Women's World title, because the title picture is pretty crowded at the moment. You have Io Sky, who is technically the #1 contender for the Women's World title, but you also have Rhea Ripley, who's on her way back way sooner than originally expected. And now, if you throw Becky Lynch into the fold as well, it just seems like things are too crowded there, and it'll be hard for any of those feuds to get the proper time and attention they deserve, considering there's so many women lined up for Liv Morgan right now. But if Liv manages to find a way to squeeze by Io and escape Rhea Ripley, then that once again would open up the door for Becky Lynch to appear after Liv Morgan gets all comfortable and assumes that there's no big threats left to her title. The real origins of Liv's current title reign has basically been forgotten due to the chaos of her personal feud with Rhea Ripley. So having Becky return to confront Liv Morgan about the Women's World title could even be a surprise to some fans who completely forgot that Liv did dethrone Becky in the first place. Liv did not directly dethrone Rhea Ripley. So there's a lot of stories still left to tell there with Becky Lynch, but just some very great news that we can potentially be just weeks away from seeing Becky Lynch's epic return to WWE. Speaking of Liv Morgan, a lot's going on with her right now as well. Liv pointed out the fact that she's been in every single women's Royal Rumble match in existence since the annual match was first created back in 2018. But she's saying that 2025 will be the first one she misses, since she expects to walk into that event as the Women's World Champion. And obviously the champions don't usually compete in the Rumble match itself. So it's unfortunate that the Royal Rumble match streak is coming to an end for Liv Morgan, but obviously it's for a good reason. She's the champion, so she would not give that up for anything else in the world. Liv also spoke to Pat McAfee about her Hollywood aspirations. Liv says she's focused on her wrestling career right now, but admits that she's auditioning more frequently for many television and film projects, and really wants to see how far she can get in that field as well. Liv even said that she would be down to take part in a romantic comedy movie alongside Dominik Mysterio. Liv says that she feels like rom-com with the both of them would be a big hit in the box office. Liv Morgan was also the topic of conversation during a Tiffany Stratton interview with Gorilla Position. Tiffany was asked if she can see the appeal about Dominik Mysterio and if she wants to steal him away from Liv Morgan. Tiffany had this to say about that idea, quote, "I mean, it's up in the air. You'll have to tune in and watch and see what happens. I do see it, but I definitely want Liv Morgan's title first, and then we can go from there. I want the gold," end quote. It's unlikely that the story will head this route, but it would be interesting direction for Liv Morgan, because a situation like that would be absolutely a storybook perfect karma for her to deal with. Liv Morgan stole the Women's World title and Dominik Mysterio away from Rhea Ripley. So how insane would it be if someone came along and stole the Women's World title and Dominik Mysterio away from Liv Morgan? Talk about karma catching up to Liv Morgan. Someone would be doing the exact same thing that Liv did to Rhea right back to her, and that would be a very satisfying thing to see as a villainous character like Liv go through that. So the scene around Liv Morgan is absolutely insanely loaded right now. Like we mentioned before, Liv has Io, Rhea, maybe Becky Lynch, and Tiffany Stratton with the Money in the Bank contract, all gunning for her. So it's going to be quite the challenge for Liv to survive all those big threats. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.